Have you ever watched your dog? Your confident tail wagging, ready for anything best friend, suddenly freeze. 1 second they're happily sniffing the air. The next, they're glued to the floor, trembling eyes wide with a fear you can't see. You look around for the cause, but there's nothing obvious. No crash, no stranger, no thunder in the distance. Still, something in their world has shifted and they are no longer safe in their own skin. It's easy to think dogs only fear the big thing, storms, fireworks, maybe a trip to the vet. But the truth is, some fears are quiet, hidden. They don't make a scene, but they chip away at your dog's sense of security one day at a time. And the hardest part, sometimes, without meaning to, you're part of the reason. Maybe it's a routine that changed. Maybe it's a sound you barely notice, but they hear like a siren. Maybe it's the way your hand moves too fast when you're reaching for the leash. Dogs don't speak our language, but they do read our every move. What we think is nothing can be everything to them. Over the years, I've seen dogs carry invisible burdens for months, even years, because no one realized what they were afraid of. That's why today I'm sharing 7 of the most overlooked fears dogs live with. You'll see how they start, why they hurt your dog's heart, and how, if you're willing, you can replace that fear with trust. By the time we reach number 7, you might see your dog in a whole new way. And maybe you'll never look at the way they watch you walk out the door the same again. To us, thunder is background drama, a low rumble behind the rain. Fireworks are celebration color exploding in the night. But to your dog, those sounds are something else entirely. Their ears are tuned to a world far more sensitive than ours. A single crack of thunder can feel like the ground splitting beneath them. A fireworks pop can register in their mind like an explosion in a small room. I once met a Labrador named Rosie, who loved summer until the 4th of July. That night, when the first fireworks screamed into the sky, she bolted for the bathroom, pressing herself between the toilet and the wall, trembling so hard the tiles seemed to shake with her. Her owners thought she'd get used to it. She never did. Not until they started making a safe space just for her blanket's favorite toys and a t-shirt that smelled like home. And here's the truth. You can't stop the sky, but you can make the world smaller, softer, safer for your dog. Close the windows, draw the curtains, play gentle music, or turn on a white noise machine. Sit beside them, hand resting gently on their back, not holding them down, but letting them know they're not alone in the storm. If you know fireworks are coming, prepare in advance. Some dogs benefit from anxiety wraps or weighted blankets designed for pets. Others simply need your presence, calm, steady, and patient. They don't need you to tell them it's fine. They need you to be their anchor until the noise fades and their heart slows. Because for them, a storm isn't just weather, it's a battle. And you are the only safe place in the middle of it. To you, it's a household chore. To your dog, it's an unpredictable beast, roaring, growling, and sliding across the floor like it owns the place. The vacuum hums and vibrates through the ground, and in your dog's mind, it's alive. It moves with no clear purpose, swallowing crumbs and hair, but also threatening to invade their space. I remember visiting a friend whose rescue beagle Max had a personal vendetta against the vacuum. The moment it came out of the closet, his tail dropped, his body stiffened, and he would sprint to the farthest corner of the house. Once, he wedged himself under the bed and refused to come out until the machine was silent and gone. To him, it wasn't cleaning, it was an invasion. Their fear isn't silly. Imagine standing in a room while a machine twice your size lurches toward you, screeching and rattling the floor beneath your feet. That's the reality for many dogs. But the good news is you can help them learn the monster isn't dangerous. Start slow. Turn the vacuum on in another room far from where your dog is resting. Reward calm behavior, maybe with a treat, a soft word, or a belly rub. Over days or weeks, let them approach at their own pace. Never drag them toward it, and never trap them in a room with it. One day, Max surprised everyone. He lay on his bed in the living room while the vacuum ran a few feet away. His eyes were open, his breathing slow. The monster had lost its power. Not because it changed, but because he learned in his own time that it couldn't hurt him. That's the heart of it. Fear doesn't vanish because we demand it. It fades when trust grows stronger than the noise. Not every dog dreams of making new friends. For some, another dog isn't a playmate, it's a possible threat. Unfamiliar scents, sudden movements, unpredictable reactions. All of it can set their instincts on high alert. You might see a wagging tail and assume all is well, but a tucked tail, stiff legs, or a frozen stance tells another story entirely. I once saw this play out at a local dog park. A golden retriever named Luna had been adopted just a month earlier. Her new owner, eager to socialize her, unclipped her leash the moment they arrived. Within seconds, 3 dogs bounded toward her. Luna froze her eyes, darting to the gate she'd just come through. Her owner called her name cheerfully, but Luna didn't hear it. She was already lost in a rush of fear. It took an hour to coax her out from under a picnic bench. Crowds can be just as overwhelming. Imagine the chaos from a dog's perspective, dozens of feet moving unpredictably, voices clashing in a wall of sound, strangers leaning down with outstretched hands. Some dogs cling to their owner's side, scanning for danger, never relaxing for a second. The answer isn't forcing them to toughen up. It's giving them choices. Let them decide if they want to approach another dog or not. Keep introductions slow, starting with a sniff from a safe distance. In crowded areas, keep the leash short, but not tight. Speak in a calm tone and watch for signs of stress, pinned ears, excessive licking, yawning, or a tail that tucks a little tighter with each passing minute. When you notice those signs, don't push them further. Leave. To your dog, escaping the chaos isn't giving up, it's proof that you are their protector. And that kind of trust lasts far longer than any forced socialization. You might say it's just a checkup, but to your dog, the vet's office is a world of strange smells, cold hands, and sharp instruments. For many, the fear begins long before you even arrive. The sound of the carrier door latching, the sight of the leash coming out at an unusual time of day, or the rumble of the car engine can all trigger that sinking feeling that something bad is coming. I'll never forget Shadow, a senior German Shepherd who would start pacing the moment his owner put on her shoes, if it wasn't the usual walking hour. By the time they pulled into the vet's parking lot, his nails clicked frantically against the car seat as he tried to turn in circles, searching for an escape. It's not always the pain that stays with them. It's the memory, the smell of antiseptic, the high-pitched bark of another nervous dog in the waiting room, the quick, cold touch of a thermometer. That memory alone can turn the next visit into a full-blown panic. But this fear can be softened. Try taking your dog to the vet for happy visits. No shots, no exams, just a chance to walk in, sniff around, and leave with a treat and some affection from the staff. Let them see that the place isn't always followed by discomfort. At home, practice gentle handling, touch their paws, check their ears so that these actions feel familiar when the vet does them. During actual appointments, keep your voice calm and your movements slow. Use phrases they know like, "It's okay, I'm right here," and mean them. For your dog, the vet might always be a little scary, but if you're steady, patient, and present, you become the safe constant in an unpredictable place. Because in their world, you're not just their owner, you're their anchor. This one is hard to face. Sometimes, the thing your dog fears most isn't a storm or a stranger, it's you. Not because you mean harm, but because the way you move, the way you speak, or the way you react can send a signal louder than any word you say. Dogs don't understand the difference between "I'm upset at work" and "I'm upset with you." A raised voice feels like thunder to their ears. A sudden movement, a hand shooting upward, a foot stepping too close can feel like an incoming strike. And if they've lived through yelling, hitting, or unpredictable moods before you, even a glance can make them flinch. I once worked with a rescue named Daisy. She'd been adopted by a kind man who adored her, but she would cower every time he stood up quickly. He didn't know why until he learned she'd been in a home where standing up fast meant someone was about to shout, or worse. It took months of slow, gentle movements, treats offered from a crouch, and a voice that never rose above a soft murmur before she began to trust that his presence meant safety, not danger. The good news. This kind of fear can heal. Replace shouting with a steady, low tone. Praise the behaviors you want instead of punishing the ones you don't. When they make mistakes, and they will ignore the small ones or redirect them gently. Move slowly, especially if your dog startles easily, and let your hand always be the safest, most comforting place in the world for them to land. Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be kind, especially when they are scared. Over time, the fear that once made them shrink away will fade, replaced by the certainty that no matter what happens, you are their safe place. Dogs don't wear watches or read calendars. Their world is built from patterns: meals at certain times, walks at familiar hours, naps in the same sunny corner, your footsteps returning through the door each evening. These routines are the invisible walls of their sense of safety. When those walls shift even slightly, their world can feel uncertain. Sometimes the change is big: a move to a new house, the arrival of a baby, a favorite person leaving. Other times it's small but still unsettling: a missing bed, a toy that suddenly disappears, a feeding time pushed back an hour. You might not think it matters, but for your dog, that worn blanket or daily schedule is a map of home. Take it away and they feel lost. I once knew a terrier named Milo who stopped eating for 2 days after his family rearranged the living room. His bed had been moved to make space for a new couch. To him, it wasn't just a different spot, it was the loss of his anchor. The day they put his bed back in its old corner, his tail wagged for the first time in a week. The goal isn't to avoid all change, that's impossible. Life shifts, but you can keep certain anchors in place. When moving to a new home, bring familiar items that smell like you and them. Keep feeding and walking times as consistent as possible. If you must change the layout of your home, leave one space untouched somewhere they can retreat to and feel everything is still okay. Because in a world that moves faster than they can understand, a little stability is more than comfort. It's proof that they're still safe. And that's what helps them relax enough to face whatever comes next. For many dogs, this is the fear that outweighs all the others, the quiet, aching terror that when you walk out the door, you might not come back. You know you'll return in an hour or two. They don't. In their world, time isn't measured by clocks. It's measured by your presence. Some dogs wait silently, lying by the door, ears perking at every sound in the hallway. Others pace, whine, bark, or chew through furniture, not from mischief, but from heartbreak. For dogs with a history of abandonment or neglect, even the sight of a suitcase can trigger panic. They've learned that packed bags can mean goodbye forever. I once knew Bella, a rescue spaniel, who would spin in frantic circles the moment her owner picked up car keys. If she was left alone, she would cry until her voice gave out. It wasn't until her owner started leaving a worn hoodie on Bella's bed, something that smelled strongly of home, that she began to settle. They also developed a calm goodbye routine, a gentle pat, a treat, and the same soft words every time, so Bella knew what to expect. Easing this fear takes consistency. Leave something with your scent. Create a safe space, a quiet room, or a covered crate that they associate with peace, not isolation. Play calming music or a soft audiobook while you're gone. And when you return, greet them calmly instead of with an explosion of energy. Show them that departures and arrivals are normal, not events to fear, because in their eyes, you are their entire world. And every time you step away, they just want one thing to believe deep down: that you'll always come back. Not all fear is loud. Sometimes it whispers. It hides in small, almost invisible behaviors that you might mistake for quirks or habits. A dog that yawns repeatedly when there's no reason to be tired. A tongue flicking out to lick the lips when no food is around. Ears pinned back just slightly, or eyes that turn away the moment you make direct contact. These are their quiet ways of saying, "I'm not okay." Other signs can look like restlessness, pacing without stopping, refusing to settle in a room, or suddenly avoiding spaces they once loved. Some fears surface as physical changes: a tail that tucks lower than usual, breathing that quickens even in stillness, or trembling you can barely see but can feel if you rest your hand on their back. I once visited a family who thought their husky Nova was just aloof. She never sought attention, always lying by herself. But when they started tracking her behavior, they noticed she only did this when certain neighborhood noises like garbage trucks passed by. Nova wasn't unfriendly. She was nervous. Once they began creating a safe, quiet space for her during those times, she started greeting them at the door again. The truth is, our dogs speak in a language of body and movement, not words. If you learn to notice the subtle shifts, the pause before stepping into a room, the sigh after you raise your voice, you begin to understand when fear is shaping their world. And when you recognize it, you can respond. You can make changes that turn fear into trust before it becomes a lifelong shadow they carry. Every dog needs a shelter from the storms, both the ones in the sky and the ones in their mind. You can be that shelter. It starts with your voice. Dogs don't understand every word, but they understand tone. A calm, steady voice tells them the world isn't ending even when it feels that way to them. Your movements matter too. Approach slowly, especially if your dog startles easily. Lower yourself to their level instead of towering above them. Let them choose to come closer. And when they do, offer your hand in a way that always means comfort, not correction. Over time, they'll learn that your touch never brings harm. Build small, predictable rituals. Morning walks at the same time. A good night word before bed. A moment of stillness together after you come home. These anchors become lifelines in a world that changes too quickly for them to understand. I once knew a border collie named Finn who was terrified of rainstorms. His owner began lighting a single candle and sitting on the floor with him during each storm, speaking softly and running a hand down his back. Months later, Finn would trot into the room the moment he saw that candle flicker settling against her before the first drop even fell. He had learned this means I'm safe. Your dog doesn't expect you to remove every scary thing from their life. They only need to know that when fear comes, you won't leave them alone in it. Fear isn't bad behavior. It's not stubbornness. It's not your dog being difficult. Fear is simply their way of saying, I don't feel safe yet. And the gift you can give them, the one that will matter more than any toy or treat, is the promise that you will listen when they tell you. You can't erase every loud noise, every strange dog, every change in their world. But you can be the constant they lean on. You can be the calm in the storm, the steady presence in the chaos, the anchor in a sea of things they don't understand. Every time you respond to fear with patience instead of frustration, you're showing them something powerful, that their trust in you was never misplaced. And here's the truth, your dog may never be fearless. That's not the goal. The goal is for them to know that fear doesn't mean danger, not when you're near. Because when they look into your eyes and see that you're not leaving, that you'll stay with them until the shaking stops, you've given them the greatest gift a dog can have: peace. So tonight, when they curl up beside you, know this: every small act of patience you've given has built a bridge in their heart. And that bridge will carry them through every shadow, every storm, every change. If this story has opened your eyes to your dog's quiet fears, I invite you to subscribe to Dog Soul. Together, we can help more people see their dogs not just as pets, but as souls that trust us with their whole hearts. Because for every fear they face, there's an owner who can turn it into safety and a love that will outlast even the longest goodbyes.